brotherhood. And if we stand strong together, we can't be denied. If one of us goes down, we have another, and another, and another that's ready to fight. So let's hit this field and bang them, bang them, bang them. Somebody, light me up.
It's time to huddle up. It's the Turf District Podcast. Welcome back to the Turf District, where we huddle up to talk all things Edmonton Elks and the CFL. And thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us live on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, or possibly you've downloaded the podcast. And if you have, thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. And finally, you may be listening to us on Edmonton Sports Talk Radio. And if that is the case, thank you for the time as we get into a little bit of some off-season business here. And we're going to be talking about some combine and draft and all those things that are fun that are coming up. And hey, it's been a couple of weeks. We need to get together again and do some chatting. So let's bring in the gang, starting with one super fan. Mike, how are you, super fan?
Good. It's been a good weekend. Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds that way. You've had lots of fun. I'll let you get into that later, but I will mention now, if you haven't seen it already, please go see Project Hail Mary. It's outstanding. It's an excellent movie, and it'll bring a whole new meaning to amaze. You'll say that a lot, or fist my bump, which is awesome. I just wanted to see your face when I said that. Okay. Kayla unfortunately couldn't join us this evening. It's funny, as soon as I told her who our guest was, she disappeared. You'd think it was Ryan Ballantyne or something. Yeah. But needless to say, that doesn't prevent Linda from being here. Welcome, Linda. Glad you are here.
Me too.
She's a trooper.
She is a trooper. Yeah. Racing in the last minute with all the beers for us. It's amazing. Yeah. So excited about that part. It might be the first time our guest stays because he's like, tell me more about beer. It's great. Yeah, it's outstanding.
That's why we stay.
That's right. Thank you again. Like I said, if you've joined us live, remember you can add in your comments or questions on whichever platform you're watching, and we will try to get to some of those as the show goes on, and then we'll try to get some of those at the end of the show with us as well. Let's not take any extra time off the top. Let's bring in our guests. So the CFL Combine take place this last weekend. 82 of the top prospects worked out. I guess I should say 82 of the top prospects, because some were not there, which I'm sure I'll be told about. Interviewed and, of course, played in front of the 9 teams, different brass. We want to find out who stood out, who fell back, and most importantly, who caught the eye of GM Ed Hervey. And for all things Combine, we are bringing in one of the experts and one of my friends from 3downnation.com. It is JC Abbott. Welcome, and thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on. I always love joining the show.
Oh, fantastic. I was going to say it was different because, of course, the Combine is here in my backyard, but I didn't get a chance to go, and I know you were there. So tell me, how was your trip out this way?
It was wonderful. I think it's an excellent event every year, but certainly Edmonton did a great job hosting. The one challenge with the venue at Foot Field, unfortunately, is not the best sight lines for us in the media. You're sort of up on the bleachers, standing up behind the netting, trying to crane your neck and see what you can. So that does present some challenges, but from a prospect perspective, from a team organization perspective, I think the CFL did an excellent job and got the most out of the weekend.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot to see. And like you said, the vantage point wasn't great. I was there Saturday. But all that being said, what's your favorite part of Combine Weekend as a whole?
For me, it's talking to the prospects, right? These kids are coming straight out of college. They've got a variety of different backgrounds, a variety of different exposure levels to the Canadian Football League. Some are coming from big schools south of the border. Some are coming from small schools in Canada. They have different levels of experience, unique backstories. So anytime you get a chance to sit down and talk and learn about these kids' personalities, I think is extra special. And that's what teams are trying to do in the interviews when they're sitting these guys down, learn a little bit about them. We do the same thing in the media, but also watching how they interact with, their fellow prospects. If it's a guy who's involved in the drills, is he encouraging other players? Is he trying to get additional reps? Is he somewhat withdrawn? If it's somebody who maybe due to injury or because of their stock isn't necessarily going to compete in the on-field portion, are they still engaged? Are they taking advantage of the opportunity? Are they acting like they're too big for it? These are all things that you're trying to assess in terms of the personality side of the athletes, which is truly the most important part of Combine, because you've seen the film, you know how they're going to play, you have expectations of how they're going to test. Doesn't mean that portion is meaningless, but really getting to know these players as people is the core component.
That's what always excites me about training camp, and I was very bummed to miss it this year as well in my backyard. But with you being kind of a perennial there now, when you're not trying to peer through the netting, do you get more time to chat with GMs and coaches and the draftees?
Absolutely, yeah. The whole weekend is a moment when the league comes together. There's not that many other opportunities where everybody's in one spot. So you're talking to people in the hotel lobby, you're talking to people at practice, you're going out for a few soda pops afterwards and having some conversations and getting to know people on a more personal level. And you're learning their opinions on things that are happening on the league, rumors they're hearing, certain perspectives on prospects. It's very much an information gathering mission. That's true of any combine in pro sports, but I think it's especially true of the CFL combine because, staffs are small, budgets are small. This is one of the very few times when everybody's traveling to one place and you get them all together, sort of reminiscing, talking about the future. It's really great to see.
Oh man, that's amazing. Now, you've been to so many of them now. Have you figured out what a GM's tell is yet, or have you just is there a trick?
I don't think there's necessarily a trick. You do get to determine some tendencies after you see the years of them drafting, and also should be noted, GMs make the final call, but they're not the only portion of this decision-making process, right? All the coaches are involved. So the head coach is going to have a say in that decision. The coordinator is going to have a say in who he likes. The position coach is going to say, hey, this is my top prospect at that position. And then your lower level scouts, your director of Canadian scouting, your director of player personnel, they're also going to have opinions and they have tendencies as well. So when you speak to all levels of the organization, sometimes you'll find teams that you're hearing the same things from, they're in alignment. Other times you'll talk to two people from the same organization and they have a different perspective on the same player. And you think, okay, maybe that's a conversation that's going to happen down the road in the building. So you pick up little snippets, but at the end of the day, the draft is unpredictable and guys are going to go with their gut because ultimately it's their reputation that's on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you do a ton of prep before you get to the combine itself. I truly am in awe because I get to kind of listen into you guys chat in our group chat about different guys, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea. But was there one guy, like up or down, this particular combine that really shocked you?
I think there's a couple of people that helped their stock, but the one person that surprised me or maybe helped himself the most was Eric Rasco, the linebacker out of Angelo State. He was a little bit of a question mark, a mystery, because he's one of those sort of quote unquote fake Canadians. He was coming out of the draft and through the NFL draft process a year ago as an American, learned that because his mother was born in Toronto, he was entitled to Canadian citizenship. He could come up here as a Canadian, went through that process, essentially spent a year in the indoor football league, keeping himself in shape while he got all his paperwork in order, and then was added to the draft in January. And so you have a few questions about him. Can he adapt to the Canadian game that he's never played? How committed and invested is he in actually making this happen? Because sometimes players go through that process and they realize, I don't really want it that bad, and they end up retiring early. That's always a concern with guys who go through that citizenship process. And then you're also wondering, at what level is he, considering that he played at a smaller American school? He was a 3-time all-conference selection, but Angelo State is a Division II program. Actually, they were in the same conference for a number of years as Simon Fraser University up here in Burnaby. So you're not talking about the highest level of competition. Now you see Eric Rasko coming in person, and he runs a 4.56 40-yard dash, which is blazing fast for a linebacker. Yeah. He looks super twitchy. He's got long arms for the position. He interviewed extremely well. I got a chance to speak to him on the field as well. Seems like an incredibly mature individual who's doing this for the right reasons and is committed to having a future in the CFL. And he adapted to the game, which he was, again, experiencing for the first time like it was nothing. It was effortless for him. So he goes from a guy who, is he linebacker 4? Is he linebacker 5? Like, is he more of a special teams body, to somebody he's now up there at the top with the Daryl Jaboms and the Darius McKenzies as, a potential starter early on in his CFL career.
Wow, that sounds kind of like Joel DeBlanco. I mean, I know DeBlanco wasn't at the was he at the combine? I don't.
He
remember.
Was indeed.
Oh, he was.
It's a very similar story. Yeah,
but he got hurt or something, didn't he? And so he didn't do the whole weekend. I think it was.
He didn't compete on the on-field portions with which Rasko did, though. DeBlanco's credit, he was one of those guys who every scout said took advantage of being on the sideline, was cheering on teammates, and really impressed people that way. Rasko impresses by actually putting on the pads and going out there, not feeling like he's too big for it, having already played professional football. Those are things you like to see from guys like that.
Yeah, outstanding.
That's awesome. I mean, you talked about Rasko moving up. In your sort of opinion, who else would you say maybe the top 3 guys that kind of gained position after this performance?
Well, the guy that you have to talk about in terms of impressing at the combine is somebody whose drum I've been banging for several months now at this stage, but he backed up all my talk. Nicholas Henning, the offensive tackle from Queens, is just an absolute freak. This is a kid who 2 years ago was an all-Canadian tight end at Queens, and they said, hey, your best pro prospect is to add a bunch of weight and play offensive tackle. He said, no problem, coach. He put it on over the course of a couple months in the offseason, and he's now been an all-Canadian at right tackle as well for the Gales. He runs a 4.9 40-yard dash, which, yes, 40-yard dash isn't the best metric for offensive line success, but we're talking about a special athlete that hasn't been done. Nobody has been sub 5 even at the CFL Combine at that position since 2016. So a once in a decade type of athlete. And did he necessarily elevate himself for CFL teams? I don't know that's true, because I was fairly certain he was going to be a first-round pick before the Combine, but he's cemented that stock. And the reality is, I think he's helped his stock south of the border as well, because I've heard from multiple sources that they're getting calls from NFL teams being like, hey, tell me about this Henning kid, because he's just that special of an athlete. The other guy who really impressed me and I thought helped himself a bunch is the quarterback from McGill, Aloha Latendresse Regimbo. A kid we knew was super athletic, but not very few teams see him as a true quarterback. So the question is he A, willing to convert to another position, specifically receiver in this case, and B, can he do it? And he answered both of those questions with a resounding yes at the Combine. Not only was he willing to do everything they asked, he took reps at receiver, he took special teams rep. He was also the best quarterback throwing the ball, in my opinion, but he was winning reps at receivers. And yes, it's not a polished product, but when I compare him to other guys I've seen make that position switch last minute, like a Jackson Tuchinski last year, not only is he a better athlete overall, it's a night and day comparison in how easy he made it look. I think he's put himself into no longer the category of a flyer that you maybe take late or take undrafted and, toy around with, but he's now in that category of a Brad Sinopoli, where you're confident in taking this guy in the mid rounds, saying, I know he's got the skill set. It's going to take a year or two. It's going to take some work, but we have the potential to make a game-breaking receiver out of this player, and he could be our short yardage quarterback in the meantime, because he's not going to shy away from that responsibility either.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he
sick.
really stood out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anybody who fell back in your mind, and did your early draft picks change from the mock draft?
I don't think there was anybody who devastated their stock. And to be clear, everyone's going to address the combine with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? They're going to take the perspective. Kids have, bad weeks, and sometimes there are other factors at play, little injuries, late flights getting delayed, all these other factors. But in terms of the people who I think damaged their stock maybe the most, Calgary linebacker Osasere Odamwinji, I think is number one on that list. He's a guy I got a chance to see live down in Texas at the College Gridiron Showcase and came away really impressed from him. He's got a great mind for the game. He was reacting quickly. He was sorting through traffic down there exceptionally well and really elevated his stock. And I heard from a lot of the teams that were down there that they liked him, and he was going to sneakily be in that sort of top category of linebackers. When he comes into the combine, and the practices weren't as impressive as they were in Texas, but also he goes out and he tests and he runs, I believe, a 4.96, which is a tough sell as a linebacker. Now, it's not unprecedented. We saw a guy like Ryan Baker out of UBC a couple years ago get drafted running over 5 seconds in the 40 because people loved his tape so much, but inevitably it's going to cause you to fall when you show sort of those athletic flaws. And for Odamwinji, that was the case at the combine. So he's a big one to me. I think the other guys that hurt themselves are people who miscalculated regarding, how much teams needed to see from them. There's guys who opt out because they have, U.S. college pro days, and they think scouts have seen them there, and they're confident in what they've put on tape. And sometimes that's justified. Either if you're dealing with an injury, right, you've got to protect yourself. There's no financial incentive when it comes to the CFL draft to really risk yourself because the contracts are slotted. It's not like you're going to make $1 million extra if you go around earlier. It's, a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. So you want to protect yourself. And there are guys who really have nothing to prove. They know that they're first round picks. They've tested at their pro days. They may have interests south of the border. They're here up to interview and get to know teams, and they don't have to put themselves on the line. So that's understandable. But there are other guys who maybe weren't full-time starters at their college programs. Maybe they were just special teams guys, or players that maybe underperformed at other events that chose not to compete again to prove themselves in front of people live, that I heard from multiple people. They were quite upset that they didn't get a chance to see them. So I don't think those things are always fair to the kids. There's a level of nuance there. But when you talk about a receiver like Malik Mega, for example, from Coastal Carolina, who blazes a 4.4 40-yard dash at his pro day and looks really impressive, but the tape, any team will tell you, is not very good. He plays super slow. He hasn't had a ton of success. He could have come up to the CFL Combine, walked out onto the field, dominated against the DBs, looked like that 4.4 player, and all of a sudden his stock through the roof. Well, now he comes up here. He decides not to go on the field. He interviews with teams, and I've heard that he interviewed reasonably well, but you leave the question mark of why wasn't he willing to stack himself up against other guys when he hasn't had that success in the past? And now you've got to rely on the tape, which isn't particularly flattering. I think there's a couple of guys in that category who maybe didn't take full advantage of the opportunity that they were offered.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny, right? How they just, like you said, it is just a couple thousand here or there, but it just, if it's an opportunity, jump on it. Like, try to
Mm.
show what you can do, but everybody approaches it differently. So now I know you already talked about it a little bit, but I'm always curious about quarterbacks at the combine. And I mean, Latondre Ball wins for both the longest and most curious name, but what did you see from the other quarterbacks that were there?
The other two quarterbacks, I think the sad reality is they're probably not legitimate prospects, and that tends to be the case at the CFL Combine. We've been spoiled the last couple of years at the quarterback position, it sort of returning to relevance. There was some hope still out there that Christian Veilleux, the quarterback from Georgia State, could show something, maybe prove to teams that he deserves that opportunity. He's got the pedigree. This is a guy who was 15 years old when he got his first NCAA scholarship offer while he was still playing in Ottawa, went to Penn State, started games at Pitt. There are moments in his career when it looked like he was going to be that guy. And when you spoke to scouts at the very beginning, when he was a freshman, the consensus was, yeah, we're never going to see this kid in the CFL because he's probably an NFL guy based on the size and the recruiting pedigree. Well, a few years later, he struggles. He gets benched multiple times. He shows inconsistent accuracy of decision-making, and he comes up to the CFL Combine and looks the same way he did in college, right? The balls were not placed right consistently. I think he hurt some receivers out there because he was not hitting them when he had the opportunity to. And I think the general consensus at this stage is he's not really a CFL player, when at one point we thought he would be an NFL player. So I'm not ruling it out. If you hit on the quarterback position, it could be so valuable. Maybe a team takes a late round flyer on him, gets him into camp as an on-counter. It's entirely possible. But at this stage, he did not do anything at the Combine to help himself. And Josh Jansen from the University of Ottawa, very solid U Sports quarterback, but not necessarily a star at that level, more of a size element brings him to the Combine because he's a true 6'6", but he's not overly athletic like the other guys. You're not looking at him for a position switch to potentially get him into the CFL. So I think it's safe to say he'll probably be back with the GGs next year for another year of eligibility. That's probably something they would celebrate. But if there is a quarterback that gets taken, it's going to be Latondre Bold. Actually, I should say there will be two quarterbacks taken because there's another position convert who did not work out with the quarterbacks at all. That's Jerome Rancourt from Western. He's a 6'4", 260-pound tight end, super strong, runs a 4.8 at that size. He's a freak athlete. He's going to get drafted to play tight end, fullback, H-back, and be a short yardage quarterback in the CFL. But right now he's weighing the decision of whether to go and be on a CFL roster next year or go back to Western because he's been a backup his entire career. Evan Hillock just graduated. He's got a new coach in Michael Faulds. He may have the shot to be QB1 for the Mustangs next year. So there's a chance that a team will take him in the third or fourth round as a futures guy, and he goes back to Western and actually gets the chance to be a quarterback for the first time before he then becomes permanently a tight end fullback.
Wow, that's cool.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, we're an Elks podcast. We love to talk about things for the team. And Edmonton's got 4 picks on the front, 21 picks of the draft. So we want to know, what are your thoughts on what the Elks are going to go for position-wise? Are they going to go receiver, linebacker, O-line, safety?
Well, I think the Elks have put themselves in a really good spot in terms of their Canadian talent. I know this is a team that has struggled to win enough games to make the playoffs in recent years, but they've added a lot of players through free agency that have been Canadian the last 2 seasons under Ed Hervey, and I think they've drafted really well as well, and perhaps even drafted better than people realize, because you've got a couple of young players that they took last year who you didn't get a chance to see. Skylar Griffith was a tight end that I was super high on out of UBC. He was considered a bit of a secret to some because he got hurt in his final season, but I knew he was a freak because I saw him at his junior day the year before and knew he ran a 4.7. I believe Edmonton took him 25th overall because they also knew just how good he was. He was hurt all of last year. Teams knew that. So this will be the first time that he gets a chance to see the field. That's going to be a core special teamer for you. Darian Newell is the other one who they took at the top of the second round. I think arguably could have been the second overall pick in last year's draft had it not been for a PED violation that saw him suspended for the entire year. He won't be able to be under contract with Edmonton until that suspension has officially expired after the draft. But all indications to me are he will be with the team next year. And you're talking about a dynamic player along the defensive line at that defensive tackle position who I think can threaten for a starting role in the near future. So really good setup there. If I was looking for spots where maybe I'd like to beef up, I would think linebacker is one. If you're going to start Joel DeBlanco, really Olivier Mwembi is your only backup there. You probably want to add a little bit more Canadian depth to ensure that you have insurance at that position. And then I look at defensive back as well. You've got Tyrell Ford. We know how special he is as a corner, but Jarrell Cummings, as great as he was and as big of a fan of I am of his play at UBC and at SFU before that, he's a bit undersized, and that's your backup DB right now. Most people thought he would have trouble adjusting to the CFL game just because of that size limitation. I think he's done well for himself to this stage, but you certainly want more of a special teams body to back up forward and to help you while Royce Metier is continuing to recover from injury. So I would look on the defensive side of the ball. Receiver is another spot where I might like to add some depth, but I think they go defense early with those linebacker DB positions.
You talked about Newell. Do you see the Elks maybe doing another gamble on a top pick that they have to wait on?
I think that would be very smart. And I would expect that at least one of those top 21 picks is somebody of that ilk. They might use a couple of them on futures because as we just laid out, there's not a lot of immediate needs considering, typically teams drafting near the top of the draft or teams that desperately need Canadian content. I don't think that's the case for the Elks right now. I like what they've been able to inject. So potentially you take a look at somebody who you have to wait on. There's really, really good Canadian defensive ends that you're going to have to potentially wait on. Maybe you go and grab a Wesley Bailey, or you grab somebody like a Noor Gotkuth, who could potentially have NFL opportunities and is an Edmonton kid. Although I think he's probably more likely to be available right away. The other Edmonton kid that probably gets NFL opportunities is offensive tackle Albert Reese out of Mississippi State. He's got exceptional size, long arms, everything you want to see from a future starting right tackle. And I know before the combine, Ed Hervey said, that's not their plan to play a Canadian at tackle this year. They see Carter O'Donnell as an inside guy, but when you have a chance to potentially down the line add a local kid who can play a ratio breaking position, I think that's a hard one to pass up. So I would imagine that Reese is somebody they have circled on their draft board that if the opportunity presents itself, they may want to add him as a future.
Is that the son of the former Albert Reese? Like, is he a junior?
Yes, I believe it is. Yes, he is Albert Reese the fourth.
Oh,
so
wow.
Several generations there.
I remember when he was a baby, like on the concourse. Amazing.
Wow, he's no baby anymore. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's like 6'7", 315, just a multi-year starter in the SEC. He's a legit player.
Fantastic. So Hervey was pretty upfront about getting that second pick in round 2. At the end of the second round, who's hanging around?
There's going to be lots of talent. I think this is an incredibly deep draft class. There's a high number of NCAA players, more than usual. I think that's going to become the norm going forward just because of the volume of Canadians that are going south of the border these days. But certainly it's more than it's been in the past. That makes the top of the draft even more attractive. But as this process has gone along, I think this has quietly become one of the deepest drafts that I've seen. And I think there's going to be a lot of talent that's available in the later rounds. And when you're in round 2, I think there's going to be your pick of the litter of whatever you think your position of need might be. You look at linebacker, super deep position. There are guys that you can grab there. I think it's deep at DB, and I think it's especially deep at offensive line, right? I know you've had a bunch of high-priced guys in there, but if you want to find a PR development guy, somebody that you have to develop, there's going to be a future starter in that mix that you can potentially grab at the end of the second round. Maybe one name that would jump out to me in terms of those offensive linemen, given what the Elks did last year in being willing to wait for guys who, for one reason or another, aren't going to be ready that year, is Spencer Walsh, who has quietly, I think he would have been in the conversation along with Nicholas Henning for the top U Sports offensive lineman, but is dealing with an ACL tear, won't be available until after Labor Day. So nobody's really talking about him right now. He's an exceptional player. And I wonder if you don't necessarily need the guy right now, but you want to add talent and continue to build up the depth at that position, Walsh might be somebody that I look at that stage in the draft as a sneaky good ad.
Oh, that's a good that's good insight. I love that. So now,
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a spot too where you might see like a Latron Regenball where you're saying that, okay, that's a guy that could be your special teamer, or you need to give him a year to be that receiver, but you want to build up those Canadian receivers? Is that a spot where you might see a guy like that go to, just to try and get ahead of it because it's basically a free pick?
Teams have used that strategy in the past with those additional picks. To me, the back of the second round is a little bit rich for my blood for La Tendresse Regenbold, just because there is an inherent gamble in the position switch. You go back to 2011 and Brad Sinopoli, who I think is the last guy who is a clear cut. If he doesn't succeed at one position, is going to succeed at the other. And he was a 4th round pick out of the University of Ottawa. I think Regenbold is more athletic than Sinopoli was, but I see him more as that 4th, late 3rd sort of range versus high 2nd. I think you're talking about guys at the back of the second round that are still in that top 25 ranking, that are still potential starters. There are going to be lots of good futures on the board. I don't think you necessarily want to reach on a project yet at that stage. If you're going to wait for somebody there, you want to wait on a guy who, when he comes up, is 100%, or I shouldn't say 100%, is almost guaranteed to make a big impact with one of those NFL type of guys. But there is going to be a wealth of options for the team, because this is a great draft in that range of picks.
Oh, that's amazing. So what are your kind of next steps as the draft comes in, and what do you do for the draft? I'm just curious. Like, how do you, I mean, I know you're usually doing live stream or something like that, but what do you do on draft day?
On draft day, we go live for every single pick. It's typically myself and Ben Grant. Started doing it with Justin Dunk. He stepped away, and Ben filled in wonderfully. And we try and give a little bit of a different perspective from maybe what you see on the TSN broadcast. I think TSN does a wonderful job in some of their coverage, and they've got super knowledgeable people on that panel as well. Dwayne Ford is the godfather when it comes to the CFL draft. And I worship at the altar of Dwayne Ford when it comes to analysis. But they don't always get the chance to talk about every single pick specifically in the later rounds. We try to bring that perspective and say, hey, even if it's halfway through round 7, we're going to treat this kid with the respect that you would give someone in the first round, talk about what he brings to the table, what some of his challenges might be, but also how he can win and what his path to the roster might be. So it's one of my favorite days of the year. It's a long day. Typically we're on there for upwards of 4 hours. Sometimes it can get a little chaotic, but we really do try to treat every kid with the respect they deserve. And that involves a lot of prep for me. I'm ahead of the curve of what I usually am right now, which I'm very thankful for. I got most of my stuff done before the combine, which sometimes I tend to drag a bit. But I'm trying to get at least some exposure to every single one of these athletes. I can't necessarily get access to the same quality or quantity of film that teams do, but I do try and watch a game or two of all of these guys, get as good a perspective as I possibly can with the resources available to me, get notes on all of them. And then the process over the next month is going to be stacking that board and ranking them inside the positions, whether that's the guys at the combine, the guys who had their pro days south of the border, guys who are at the invitational combine that some teams may like enough to take over players who were invited to the national, and perhaps even a few sneaky names that teams are keeping in their back pocket that didn't receive a combine invite at all, but may have a chance to go late in the draft. That's the fun part of the process to me, is really digging in and going, 200 players deep in a class that, only 70 odd players are going to get drafted, and knowing every single name. Unfortunately, I missed one pick last year that I didn't know in advance. And I assure you that sticks with me every day of the year. I think about that pick. I want to go perfect. So I like to know about every single player.
There's always a wild card. You just never know.
Always.
There's always one. Yeah, exactly. Mike, as we're talking combine, I know you were there on Saturday. What did you think of the festivities as from a fan's point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't have the kind of insight JC does, or even close.
Me either.
But yeah, it was interesting because I haven't been to a combine before, so I was impressed by the speed of how everything was being run and how well it was run there. It was great, just sort of running into a lot of the coaches, a lot of the executive that were there. Sat and talked with Coach Killam for a bit. Dan Rosnow was there. Talked to Dwayne Mandrusiak, who was also there,
Always
which
good.
is, a fantastic person to talk to at the best of times. So that was great. And of course, some of the football family was there. I sat with Lonnie, who coached my son's Bantam team last year and will be coaching the high school junior varsity team as the defensive coordinator. So just listening to him, how he looks at these players and what they're running was a lot more interesting from someone coming from a pure fan perspective. Like JC mentioned, watching how players interact with each other was really eye-opening to me. Seeing there was one player on the defensive side, I don't want to say his name, but he sort of tried cutting in front of other players and did not go well. And then I don't know if
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I knew you would. Yeah. But it was just, and then he just wasn't taking any reps at that point. He had his shoe off, didn't appear to be injured, but I think that they were sending a message at that point. But yeah, it was a fantastic time. Only 50 fans were allowed in because there was just such limited room in the bubble. And I was really grateful that myself and my family were able to come and witness it.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I love how JC's like, I know who you're talking about.
Well, I think you hit on a wonderful little topic there, because sometimes like teams are going to have different perspectives on that, right? Some teams are going to see a guy who's cutting in front of people and who's like physically fighting it was a defensive back who I'm thinking of, stopping them from taking reps, and say, oh man, like what a dingus. Like, doesn't he know that other people need opportunities and he's throwing off this entire event by making it all about himself? I don't want to draft that guy. And then there's going to be somebody else who looks at that and says, wow, what a competitor. That's exactly the intensity that I want for my team. And I'm trusting that guy to go out there and battle for a spot in training camp. And I want people who steal reps. I've heard the opposite sides of that coin from different teams. And that's part of what the combine is about, is not just finding out what these guys' personalities and characters are, but finding the personality and character that's right for your culture, whatever that may be. It's one of those really interesting situations that you watch and you go, okay, who's going to see it which way?
Right.
Well, I have a feeling this is how that went. Well, that guy's a cocky asshole. He'll fit perfectly on our team in Calgary. That's perfect.
I said Hamilton.
You went to Hamilton?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, one of the two. I mean,
The
it
Al
could be
Davis
either, but
mentality.
yeah, like, oh, that guy fits right in with everybody else we have. It's fantastic. Sorry, I can't help myself. Sorry, I didn't have my fire trucker button available. Superfan, is there any questions in the chat for JC before we let him get a break and go back to watching film?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen a lot of questions in the chat. Most people have been very quiet. It's something that tells me they've been listening, which is kind of nice.
That's true.
More hearing what I think there's a lot of us that have been learning at the altar of JC there. Again, just a great perspective and a chance for us to view these players in a very different light.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm not so sure about altar, but I appreciate you giving me the time to steer you in the wrong direction on all these prospects. I'm sure scouts see it much differently.
A question just came in.
Oh, perfect. Okay, go ahead.
There we go. What does JC do with his spare time? Doesn't sound like he has a lot right now, but
I mean, this is what I do with my spare time. Admittedly, the CFL draft, even within what we do at 3 Down Nation, is a bit of a niche element, right? We try to give it the respect that it deserves, but we do have to focus on other things for most of the year and even during draft time. So this is what I do in the extra time after I've written all the other articles is go through and watch this film and compile the data. So I don't have a ton of spare time in the months leading up to the draft. I then immediately take a vacation after the draft before I get into training camps and preseason and the regular season. So I will be in Ireland after I've done my draft show.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking forward to. But until then, it's a full-time gig.
Yeah, enough about football. Let's talk about football.
Yeah. Do you know do you know what's really good about Ireland? They wear a lot of green over there. It's wonderful.
I figured you would like that.
Yeah, probably the right shade of green too. So that's important. Yeah. That's the important part. Yeah. Well, JC, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing all of your insights because, like I said, I didn't get to when I did get there when we had it here 3 years ago. It was cool because I could pick up on some guys, but I don't know them the way you do. So thank you so much for all of your insights on what you saw. I saw the new rebrand on the 3 Down site. I love it. It looks very cool. Tell everybody where they can find all of your other great work, both on the draft and of course during the season.
Yeah, you can find it all at 3downnation.com, all the written work, and then follow me on social media at the JC Abbott. That's the place where you'll find everything that you want to know in terms of my position rankings and insights. And, there'll be mock drafts from John Hodge on the website as well. He's working on 2.0 as we speak. He sent me about 3 different versions today already. So we are making progress towards that goal, but it is a sprint to the finish here this month.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, JC. I'll let you be able to get back to all of your wonderful film talk, and then we'll catch up with you during the season, man.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Oh, JC's so good. I love getting that perspective because it's just, man, the homework he does is unbelievable. It's for me to learn this kind of stuff. I once again have I'm not sure how, but kind of tripped into doing the mock draft with our friends out on the West Coast. That's coming in a couple of weeks. I'll get some more information out before too long there. So I need JC's help as much as possible. How am I supposed to pick these? I don't know. Whatever. This guy looks. Last year,
I like his name.
Yeah, I did that last year. I was like this guy's got a cool name. I'm picking him. Yeah, I mean, it's always a lot of fun when you get together with guys, and we're all fans, but we all like, well, I think this is what my team needs, and so I'm gonna kind of pick here. And obviously the name I want at number 3 is Henning. I get that now. That's great. I'll
For
put that
sure.
in there. So we will yeah, well, it's always fun to get that information, and of course, all these new names. And then when we get to the draft, it's like, who's that guy? Oh, neat. Okay, now I feel like I knew that name. Great, it helps me.
Yeah,
out.
I'll be reviewing this and writing down all the names he said earlier, so that when we have the draft, we'll be like, oh, totally, I knew that.
I got him down.
Excellent.
That comes up. Mike's like, that guy's 6'7" and 315, and he ran a 4.9 at the combine because JC
Absolute
told me
freak
that.
of nature. Right.
What an athlete! It's amazing.
What
I'm excited for this. So up until this point, I actually didn't have I had kind of taken away the roster move section for us this week because we didn't have any new additions until today, where
they did us a solid.
Coming back to they did it this morning too. Coming back to the green and gold. How exciting is one Rick Campbell coming back as the coach analyst. Is that what they're calling
Coach
him?
analyst. Yeah.
Coach analyst? Sure.
Yeah.
Analysis?
Consultant, analyst.
Too many syllables.
Right. Okay. Is it just the come here and just do some coaching of the coaches? I'm not sure, but
he's got a lot of experience. I mean, he started coaching here in 1999 under Don Matthews. And he actually was supposed to coach the year before in 98, but Hugh Campbell wouldn't let Kay Stevenson hire him just because of the potential nepotism and everything else. Right. Don Matthews insisted that he wanted him because he was a bright mind. He was great for Harry Ainley when he played as a football player. And he's got a lot of experience that the guys like Killam, a very young coaching staff, can lean on and can bounce ideas off of. And here's why I think you should look at this perspective. I think it's an outstanding hire especially for a young coaching staff. And anytime you can welcome an Edmonton boy home, you got to go.
Absolutely. Can't have enough Campbells on this team.
That's right.
Right? Yes, exactly. Except for maybe Kelly Campbell, right? Yeah, I was going to say, Linda would be like, maybe not that one.
No.
Okay, descendants of Hugh. Then that would be good. Hugh and
one down, one to go.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. One day she'll realize that she has to be back here wearing the right colors. It's fine. We know. Everyone who watches the podcast, what are they talking about? Okay. So Superfan, ready for a little Hoard and Tell fun?
Oh, I think we can do that.
Oh, I can only imagine. All right, here we go.
It's time for Hoard and Tell.
Whoop, I'll put you over there.
There we are. Look at that.
Al McCann hat. Wonderful. Love it.
No, that's not the Al McCann hat.
Well, I know, but
it's
close.
Hat.
It's very close. It's very close. Come on now.
Everyone should have an Al McCann hat.
That's right. What do you have?
It's been a while, and I've had a few things pile up. I wanted to go to a few things that were very graciously given to me, feeling that this behind me is maybe a better home for their item that they had and loved for many years, and thought maybe it's time it found its new forever home. So, but first off, I wanted to show this because we did recently have the Coach of the Year award recently.
Yes.
So I thought I'd pull that out, the old 2004 Coach of the Year ticket from the luncheon. Of course, the Coach of the Year award was originally donated, or that was created in 1961. The Anis Stukas trophy was given, and that's because the Edmonton is the one that came up with the idea, and he was our first head coach. I don't know if the trophy is still called the Anis Stukas Trophy. As far as I know, it still is.
I believe it is, yes, because we had that conversation in our 3-down chat, and I said, I love the name. I don't know what you're talking about. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to say he's the greatest coach of all time, but I don't think it's too far to say that without Anis Stukas, we may not have the team we have today. So Very
Yes.
cool. All right, on to some of the donations, and I think I sent you a picture at one
Oh,
point.
yep, you did. Which
There we go.
This one here.
There we go. So
Oh, nice.
1971, 72, Sears was the place to go for equipping your body and your home with all things CFL. This is a great item I got from a friend of mine. There should be a few more in there. Yeah,
look at
there
this
we go.
one.
Look at
Look
those
at that
sheets.
kid's face. That kid's face is ready to play for Hamilton. Let me tell you.
100%.
Yeah,
And
right,
maybe
Linda?
he does.
Yeah, probably he does. Yeah.
You can see the comforter in there. There's a sleeve, and then there's that, and that is particularly cool because that is one of the items that I got. So,
oh, cool.
This belonged to a good friend of mine, John. This was his item that he got in 1971 from Sears. Doesn't quite fit, but
I'd keep that away from Kayla though. She might claim it as her own,
and she might fit it anyway. But yeah, it's just an absolutely fantastic piece of history. A lot of them did not survive because kids play and they get a little crazy, and they don't quite survive. He also donated this lovely hat. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
there's the
very nice, very
logo
nice.
on there. So that is another one that was in those catalogs where you could get the toques. I've seen a Hamilton one recently and a Toronto one, and yeah, absolutely very cool to have. This one would fit me, so that's kind of nice.
Nice. There you go. I expect to see it at games next year,
as you should. And then another donation from our good friend Celeste, who many of the people in here, probably all of the people in there know, donated this to me. In the annual dinners, there used to be a tradition that there would be a gift, and sometimes the gift might be you could get a mug with the annual dinner logo on it, or you could get a thermos set in 1973, I think. There were binoculars one year. Later on, it came down to pins. I've got several of them here. I think I've shown on the show. 1978, which was a fantastic year.
That was a great year.
Was this?
Oh, nice.
That was the 15th annual football dinner.
I swear I just saw one of those online.
It was, yeah. And my good friend Gary ended up picking that up.
Nice.
I was shocked he didn't have it.
Yeah.
Lovely leather bag, little side bag here. I don't think anything sort of came with it, but the fact it's got the date on it as the annual dinner of 79. This one happens to be signed by about, near as I can tell, about 40 different players in Sharpie over the years. Just absolutely beautiful piece. And this is only the second one I've ever seen. The other one today was the second. I should say this is the first. So it does not come up very often. And I was very grateful that she allowed me to have it. And the last one I got yesterday, and again, donated because he felt it would be best in this spot, especially if you can sort of see some of the things behind me over here.
Very good.
I do love to collect team signed footballs, and this was donated to me. Absolutely fantastic piece. Lots of names on there. And it was the time you said he wasn't really sure on this side what year it's from. And then I sort of noticed, if you can sort of see there, it does say Darryl Roy. Very famous coach for the University of Texas. He played for the Oklahoma Sooners. But in between those two times, he came here to be the head coach in 1953. And all the names on there are a ton of them are from the 1953 season. There's a lot of names if you're a particular fan of wrestling. Wilbur Snyder, or Bill Snyder was a famous wrestler in the 50s. Bill Zock is on there, a Hall of Famer. This is the year right before where Jackie Parker came. And in fact, Jackie Parker came from a recommendation from Darryl Royal. So it is a smaller ball. I don't know if you can sort of see the difference. Here's a full-size ball to kind of go with it. It's a lot smaller, maybe small in stature, but it's absolutely massive in my collection. And that's going to be going up right in that sort of corner right around there. So
Nice.
I'm very, very grateful to get this. A 1953 ball was easily the oldest ball I own. And yeah, it's now a large cornerstone in that collection. So very grateful that to come in.
Oh, outstanding. Outstanding. That's very cool, Superfan. And
Thank you.
I love how people just know that how much you will appreciate it and then get
Yeah.
it to you. Like that to me, I mean, we know you appreciate it and we know how much you know about the stuff, but it's cool to
Yeah.
see you get excited about those things too.
Yeah.
So.
There was no doubt in his mind after I saw it that I was more than grateful.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, I certainly don't expect anyone to ever give me anything, but I am grateful when it does happen. And for certain things that are big parts of my collection, like team signed balls, yeah, that makes it extra special for sure.
Did you just stifle a snicker there, Linda?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought, yeah, team signed balls. Well, all right then. That's interesting that you like those, Mike. I mean, that's fine. Yeah. All right, Linda. I think it's your turn. Are you all set?
I'm set.
Wonderful. First down. This beer.
And there it is.
Here it is. Here it is. Favorite time of the podcast. All right. What do you have for this week?
So yeah, it's so Combine is a showcase, and sadly I missed the showcase. Despite leaving all this room in my calendar, it just did not work out. So the good news is I looked for beers that I thought would be vying for my attention at a Combine.
Okay. Perfect.
So here's the first one. Gorilla Mode Thunder Punch.
That's an offensive lineman right there.
So this is from Phillips Brewing in Victoria, BC, which I don't often buy from, but I couldn't resist the label because there's a bio on it for the gorilla.
Oh, really?
And I'm going to give it to you. His bio says, "Me gorilla, the gorilla chilla, punch like mountain thunder, no bitter bite, euphoric taste like sun on face, formidable and majestic like waterfall, gorilla swing hammer, smash bad time away." So I thought that sounded promising.
That's all. And of course, our very first mascots were green and gold gorillas. So it's perfect for this team.
This is
Exactly.
this has to be like that must have been the most eloquent thing ever said on this podcast, I feel.
Yeah, it could be. So
Yeah.
It is gorilla sized. It's in a super tall can.
Okay.
Sorry about the blurring, but I'm dealing with flood stuff behind me.
Oh, no.
And this is a 9% beer. So
Ooh, that is a thunder punch. Holy man.
So I did not get his time on the 40, but I thought he was worth a look. So it is not as juicy as I was expecting, but it's pretty cloudy, as you would expect from a hazy IPA. Yeah, you could probably get one in you at a tailgate.
Yeah. Is it a little,
Challenge accepted?
Correct. I was gonna say Mike's all in. Yeah. What is it kind of like soury, or is it more?
No, I'm gonna say a little bit of tropical fruit, maybe fighting with a little bit of citrus. So
Okay.
It's got a slight bitter finish. It's not a big juice bomb. You're
Right,
gonna
okay.
get a little bitter finish on it.
All right.
So if you've ever been to training camp with me, you know I'm also, and I love what JC said about this, I'm looking for the character guys, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, all that gorilla testosterone needs a little balance. So my character guy beer, sorry, is Sparkle Puff.
Sparkle Puff.
That was Andrew's nickname in high school. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Sparkle Puff Galaxy Starfighter Defender of the Universe Triple IPA from
Wow, that's a
Flying
mouthful.
Monkeys Brewery in Barrie, Ontario. So this brewery makes a lot of big juicy beers. One of my favorites is actually called Juicy Ass, but I'm going to save that one for a training camp name.
As we should with all.
So
that show just became way more fun. Yeah.
so this beer
Title of the
goes,
podcast.
Correct.
So this one boasts, in quotes, a payload of smashed summer peaches for cushions of fierce malty fluff behind a forced field of hops.
Okay.
So
That's
there's
outstanding.
that. Triple dry hopped, unfiltered, and this bastard's weighing in at 10.2.
Holy man.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Nice.
Yes, it is.
10.2.
And it tells us to glimmer with the epic glory of Sparkle Puff. So heavy beer, but I think I can bench press it.
Okay.
Nice.
That's good. Excellent.
And then by popular request and a nod to our non-beer people, I found a new cider that was
Oh,
highly recommended to me by the liquor store dude. And if you can't trust the liquor store dude, I don't know what you could do. So this is Recorder Leg Swedish Premium Cider.
Oh.
oh.
And I bought two, a strawberry lime and a wild berries one. They're both at 4.5. I'm only going to try one because 3 downs, right? I'm
That's
only
right.
going to down 3 things tonight in honor of our guest. And
Is the berry one lingonberry like IKEA, or I mean, it's Swedish.
No, it's got a picture of a strawberry, a raspberry, and a blueberry.
Oh.
So no lingonberries.
I wouldn't know what it looks like.
And then it says artificially flavored. But the strawberry lime doesn't say artificially flavored.
Oh.
So, it's very pretty.
Strawberry lime would be more up my alley anyway. Oh, look at that.
That is a lovely color.
Yeah. So, hey, this might be a good Easter drink.
They're all
Smells
good Easter drinks.
really nice. I like my ciders a little crisper, but I think this could be very popular at a tailgate. I think if you had 6 or 12 or 2 dozen of those in a cooler, they would disappear really quickly.
Oh, I thought you meant I would just have 6 or 12 or 2 dozen.
No, I think
As you
you might have a diabetic reaction if you do that.
Right.
But I can see them being very popular. So we got a Gorilla for the line, a Sparkle Puff Galaxy Starfighter in the secondary, and an import from Sweden. So I think we've covered agility, speed, strength, a decent vertical, and character. So who wants to sign me?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Me. I do. Yeah, I do. But only if I get to call you Sparkle Puff. I'm totally changing your name in my phone to Sparkle Puff. When you
An incoming text to Sparkle Puff from Meat Sack. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, I realized that I had changed my name in StreamYard to Meat Sack, and then Andrew, like last time we did the show, and then I went to send the invite to John, and it said join Meat Sack Andrew's podcast, and I decided to change that back. That's what I decided in the end, because yeah, I have enough jokes as it is. Let's not get carried away. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, before we sign off for this week, was there any fan questions that we need to deal with there, Mike?
I saw a couple of things in there, that's for sure.
Okay.
What do we got here? When talking about the bag I received from Celeste,
Oh yes.
Leanne says that bag would be perfect for holding meat and beer.
It would.
I mean, who's to argue with that, right?
Right.
It's a meat sack.
Yeah, and of course, our good friend Cliffy D, who we were like ships passing the night, apparently. We were both at the Combine, didn't see each other.
Yeah.
Death, taxes, and Linda tittering at Kayla's belch. There's 3 things you can count on.
Very predictable.
Yeah, it's very predictable. As it should be. As
Yeah.
it should be.
And then
Yeah.
Kevin Alaschuk saying, this is the last one here. Campbell plans to study the rule changes and help the team adapt to them. Also be an advanced scout, studying all CFL games to help recognize tendencies. Wants to continue being a head coach somewhere, so is kind of honing his coaching game. He was interviewed by Jason Greger this afternoon. Great podcast. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. And that's good insight. And I could see where that would be very helpful, right? To be able
For
to
sure.
kind of have that. Not only do you have the coaching perspective, but then you're bringing up the. I love the idea of scouting those rule changes, right?
For sure.
How are we going to be able to use this as it changes over these next year?
Take advantage of what there is and
Yes, exactly.
mitigate the problems.
Exactly. No, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. Outstanding. Well, thank you all for contributing for that. That's amazing. I do want to make sure that we talk this week about the Alumni Wine Fest that is happening on Saturday, May 2nd from 2 till 5 p.m. Tickets are still available at eefootballalumni.ca. I'll put that up there again. So it's eefootballalumni.ca. So grab your tickets now and take part in a really, really fun afternoon with a lot of Elks alumni and some amazing wines. I mean, who could ask for more? Some of our other friends, if you're a little more family oriented, for the day before the wine fest, there's the family fun bowl that's happening from Pay It Forward with Football. That's on May 1st. It's only $30. They always have good prizes as far as their silent auction is concerned.
For sure.
And it's at Bonnie Doon, so it's not far. Like it's right central, nice, easy to get to. You can follow at P4WFB or Pay Forward with Football, and grab your tickets there. They you just send them an e-transfer, and they'll be able to get you some tickets. So grab that. I want to thank JC Abbott for coming on again. And I know we had said it was John. I even announced it was John Hodge, and then it was like, oh, whoops, we have to change it. So, but thank you, JC.
Called an audible.
Yeah, exactly. And an excellent audible it was. It scored.
Yeah.
So it was very good. So thank you, JC. And thanks to the whole gang at 3downnation.com who continue to, help support me as far as being able to be part of that group, but also us and giving us some, all that great information that they put out on the site. So make sure you're joining that. All right. Where do we find all of us? Linda, where does people find you?
On Instagram at TrueBrew42.
Perfect. And we will see the post of the fun beers before long, I'm sure. Thunder Punch. Up on the is that what it was called? Thunder Punch? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
No, well, Sparkle Puff.
Sparkle Puff, but the gorilla was Thunder Punch, wasn't it?
Yes, it is. Thunder
Okay.
Punch.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. Sparkle Puff is your name. That's different than what
It's in the phone now.
That's right. Already done. Superfan, where does everybody find you?
You can find me on most socials at 56 Parkies and the Edmonton Football History account at EDMHISTORWE.
Wonderful. And follow our fine sister at Duchess Lombardi. There we go. I was going to say Commissioner Lombardi.
Nope.
Commissioner Kayla at Duchess Lombardi.
There it is.
And of course, follow the show at the Turf District, pretty much on everything other than Blue Sky, where it's Turf District Pod, because I wanted to be different. And you can follow me at Freepalicious, also on Twix or whatever you want to call it. You can find me there. We will be back in 2 weeks or possibly sooner. You never know. Maybe a surprise episode. So keep your eye on the socials to see what is going on, because it's going to be a maze. Watch that movie.
That'll make sense. Yeah.
It will make sense after that. Yeah. Also, wishing everybody a very happy Easter long weekend. I hope everybody gets a chance to be with some family and a chance to, take a little downtime. We all need a little downtime these days, don't we? Yep. Me too. In the biggest of ways. So, but thank you everybody for joining us. For Linda and Commissioner Kayla and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely Talk to you in a couple of weeks.